Good afternoon and welcome everyone. I hope you've enjoyed all of your sessions thus far. My name is Corey Himes, and I serve as the Senior Policy Analyst here at Louisiana Policy Institute for Children. Before we get started, here are a few quick housekeeping tips. One, you can chat with our speakers and myself in the chat box. If you're having any tech issues, please feel free to direct them towards me using the chat. If you have any questions, please type them in the Q&A box. We'll have time for Q&A at the end of the session. So please don't hesitate to add your questions as we go along. Finally, a few resources will be mentioned throughout today's session. You can find these links under the Resources tab at the bottom of your screen by clicking Learn More. And then to open the link, and you should be able to click the arrows to toggle through the various links we've posted and provided. So let's get into our last session of today, the role of family childcare in early childhood education in Louisiana, findings from an initial study on family childcare providers and parents. We are joined by Maddie Batson, Sierra Amar, and Zakinia Perry-Nilly. Madeline Kars-Batson serves as the Policy and Research Director here at the Louisiana Policy Institute for Children, with a long-standing passion for helping vulnerable children, youth, and families flourish, which she has pursued throughout teaching, public policy, community service, and leadership roles, including most recently serving as Director of Early Childhood Systems in the office of Governor John Bel Edwards, where she also helped to secure historic investments in early childhood programs. Before her state level work, she earned a bachelor's degree in sociology and public policy from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, completed Teach for America in New Orleans, while also earning a master's in teaching. She's also spent additional years as an educator in Jefferson Parish. Sierra Amar is the NAFCC State Representative of Louisiana and is the first NAFCC Leaders Shaping Leaders of Louisiana Mentor. And she is also CEO, founder, and leader of Intelligent Kids Minds, LLC, an intelligent geographic multicultural curriculum. Finally, Zakinia Perry-Nilly is a seasoned nonprofit executive, community educator, and visionary strategist with more than 25 years of leadership experience across local, state, and national platforms. A native of New Orleans and a Hurricane Katrina survivor, Zakinia has dedicated her career to designing and implementing bold initiatives that respond to urgent community needs, elevate under-resourced families, and build sustainable systems of support. Additionally, her leadership spans a wide range of organizations, including, as mentioned before, the National Association for Family Childcare, or NAFCC, the Orleans Public Education Network, Community in Schools, Greater New Orleans, Inc., and Brad Pitt's Make It Right Foundation. At NAFCC, where she currently serves as Director of Strategic Partnerships and Market Solutions, Zakinia has launched innovative programs such as Empower Her Business Accelerator and Leaders Shaping Leaders, while generating over $500,000 in revenue through strategic alliances. She also spearheaded the first ever home-based childcare global convening in 2024, connecting providers worldwide to shape a collective vision for advocacy and sustainability. And with that, I'm pleased to turn it over to Zakinia.
Thank you, Corey. I also want to lift up Sierra Amar again, our Louisiana State Representative. She is one of 46 nationally state reps who represents and advocates for Louisiana family childcare educators, and she is our most recent member of the inaugural Louisiana Leadership and Leaders statewide cohort designed specifically for family childcare providers. At NAFCC, we are grateful to have her as a partner in Louisiana and a peer mentor to other family childcare providers. The National Association for Family Childcare is the leading voice in home-based childcare. Founded in 1982 by family childcare providers and early care experts, the National Association for Family Childcare was started to support a nationwide network of family childcare educators, providers, and partners committed to advancing quality, sustainability, and access in home-based care. Our mission connects practice, policy, and research to strengthen the early care workforce and help children succeed. Family child care, which is also known as home-based child care programs, serve over 1 million children nationally. Nearly 40% of children across the US are currently being served in the home-based child care. And 72% of family child care educators serve children receiving subsidies. This underscores their essential role in providing equitable access to child care. This is why family child care matters. At NAFCC, we believe in amplifying the authentic voice of family child care across the nation and regionally. And as stated earlier, we have recently launched our local professional development chapter of the Louisiana Leader Shaping Leaders program to equip family child care providers with the tools they need to sharpen their skills as a small home-based care business owner. NAFCC is a national nonprofit organization with over 30 years experience in building family child care networks and associations across the United States. We are a member-centric organization built by family child care educators, and we believe that it is the cornerstone of the American child care system, especially in rural, middle-income, and underserved communities. Family child care provides responsive home-based care with small group sizes, continuity and familiarity, and flexibility that center-based care often cannot match. Family child care matters, and it is the economic backbone of our workforce. We engage in these practices through our programs in membership, accreditation, policy and advocacy, professional development, and partnerships. One of our unique strengths of NEFCC is that we administer the only national accreditation system designed for family child care providers. Accreditation serves as the cornerstone in a state professional development system, and it informs policymakers of what's needed for family child care educators to thrive and succeed in their communities and support children and families.
Thank you, Zakinya, for sharing about the important work of NAFCC. We were pleased to partner with NAFCC in this family child care study. We are also very grateful to the Kellogg Foundation for making this study possible and for the support along the way from our partners and collaboration efforts from the Department of Education, ACE Consulting, Rooted Growth Company, and the Power Coalition for Equity and Justice. Before we get into family child care in Louisiana, I want to step back or scale back for a second and look at our broader ECE system. In Louisiana, there are a few types of child care options for families. Type 1 and Type 2 and Type 3 providers are a part of our formal licensing system, so they are required to be licensed in order to operate. But when we're looking at the differences between the three of those, it's really about like if they participate in a public funded program like CACFP or CCAP. And when we're looking at the amount of kids we are able to serve through our publicly funded programs in Louisiana, and looking at the number of kids that we're not yet reaching, we're really doing that through the two types of childcare that are able to receive public subsidies to make childcare more affordable for families. And that's Type 3 childcare providers, which is your standard childcare provider center, or family childcare providers who have certified CCAP approval. And through our many different publicly funded programs for children under 5 in Louisiana, some of them you might have heard of before: Head Start, LA4, NSCCD, the Child Care Assistance Program. There's a few others, but across all of those in Louisiana, we currently serve around 58,000 economically disadvantaged children ages birth through 4. And you can see on the slide that we serve a lot more of a percentage of our in-need 4-year-olds, and there is a pretty large deficit in how many children we're able to serve under 4. And that really is also exemplified in a few other ways across our state. But before I get into that, I just want to make a note that really the ultimate goal of a successful ECE system as a whole is that when parents have children, they are able to select the type of care that works best for their families. However, in Louisiana, what we see right now is that there is a pretty large demand for childcare access, affordable, high quality childcare access that is not able to be met. One way this is exemplified is through our Child Care Assistance Program waitlist. We have around 3,000 birth to 3-year-olds on our CCAP waitlist right now, which means they qualify for child care assistance, but they are unable to access it due to insufficient funding. And beyond that, the Department of Education estimates that there's about 100,000 more birth to 3-year-old children in our state that are economically disadvantaged and are unable to access affordable childcare. And so when that is our reality, it means that parents who need to work are having to find childcare arrangements that they can afford and have access to. And that's really where family childcare in Louisiana, and I would say across the nation, really steps in to fill the gap. But they're not just stepping in to fill the gap about affordability. Family childcare providers unequivocally step in the gap also for being able to provide care to families who are in rural communities where they might live in childcare center deserts. Or what we also know about family childcare providers is that they are often the providers that stay open when childcare centers are closed. They're more likely to be open overnight and on weekends in order to support our many different types of industries in Louisiana that require work outside of traditional hours. And so family childcare providers are able to support families and meet them where they're at in a way that other childcare types just aren't able to. But you might be like, what exactly is family childcare again? I'm gonna break it down for you to the best of my ability. Family childcare is a type of childcare that is provided in the home of an individual, and they care for 6 or fewer unrelated children in their program that's located inside their home. In Louisiana, family childcare providers are allowed to operate independently of our formal licensing system. However, there are a few voluntary pathways that they can pursue in order to get connected to our statewide system through the Department of Education, which houses early childhood. The first step on this pathway is to become registered, where you have a registration number. This is just clarifying the fact that you're a family child care operating in the state and you receive care and now you have a registration number. You can go one step further from that and become certified. If you are a certified family child care provider, you have your registration, but you also comply with the State Board of Education's Bulletin 139 to be exact. And some of these things include having fire marshal inspections, child care criminal background checks. You have training that you're required to do throughout the year, and you have additional supervision requirements that you have to follow as well. And becoming certified with the department, that means that you are able to receive CCAP or Child Care Assistance Program payments for approved CCAP families. But providers have one more step that they can take if they want to expand their reach and access to resources, and that is to become academically approved. If you are an academically approved family child care provider, that means you follow all of the requirements to be registered and certified with the state. But in addition to that, you have the same exact resources as type 3 providers. So your typical center-based provider from the state. So that's things like access to tax credits, tier 1 curriculum, coaching from the department, and you are also verified by the department if you have academic approval to be meeting required performance and academic standards. And in that way, you get a part of our accountability system where you get a performance profile every year. And our FCC providers who have academic approval, when they go through our class quality rating system, they are hitting on par with our other child care types like school-based child care options, Head Start and early Head Start, and even child care centers. So our type 3 providers, they, if you can see on this chart, they really are stepping up and verifying that they really do create high quality learning environments for their enrolled children. But here's the deal. There are about 200 family child care providers in the state who have become certified. And there's about 150 who have taken that additional next step to get academic approval. But we know that there are way more family child care providers in our state that are meeting the critical needs of our families and our workforce and our economy. But we don't know exactly who they are because they operate outside of our formal licensing system. One indicator as to how many family child care providers might be operating right now in Louisiana that are outside of these voluntary pathways is that there are 4,700 family child care providers who participate in the Child and Adult Care Food Program known as CACFP. If you're a family child care provider, you are allowed to qualify for CACFP, which is a nutritional program that helps supports paying for nutritious meals for the children you care for. But you don't have to go through this volunteer pathway of becoming certified or academic approved in order to qualify for CACFP. So there are thousands of family child care providers in our state right now who are caring for children, and they're providing a critical service and meeting a need for families that our economy would not be able to function without. But we just don't know exactly what their experiences are because they're not connected with the broader ECE system yet. And so that's where our study comes about. We wanted to understand what the real experiences, challenges, successes, long-term aspirations were for family child care providers. We know their importance, and we just wanted to hear from them. There's a lot of discussion about policy and legislation and even bulletin language about family child care. But if we're not talking to the providers themselves, then we're not doing them a service. And so we did. We tried to meet them where they were in community across the state over the last year. We met with nearly 80 family child care providers and about a dozen parents who utilize family child care. And the study really illuminated some key findings that we're going to share with you before we get into our recommendation section. First, from family child care providers themselves, there are some findings. The first finding is that family child care providers offer learning environments that are tailored to children's developmental needs. We heard over and over in our focus groups that family child care providers are able to create customized and developmentally appropriate learning environments for the needs of all children. And this is particularly so for children who are experiencing developmental delays or who have unique special needs for their care. Family child care providers are able to be a safe, trusted provider specifically for those children, also for children who have different linguistic needs. And family child care providers really do see themselves as the foundation for future academic success for their children enrolled. They are planting the first seeds of education that will help them become kindergarten ready. With us, we have Sierra Amar, who is going to share a little bit about her experience as we move throughout these findings. And so, Sierra, what comes to mind for you when we talk about this?
What comes to mind to me is supporting the children and families with to be very successful to move along in their educational in an educational setting. Um, I believe in family child care and with partnership with the National Association of Family Child Care, we are providing resources for all family child care providers, and that's information that all parents in all parishes of the state of Louisiana should get involved in so they can receive all of these nice subsidies that we are going to cover during this session.
Thank you, Sierra.
You-
The second finding from family child care providers is that they take pride in offering a relationship-driven experience. family child care providers, the way they're poised and set up really allows them to be culturally responsive. And in fact, a lot of family child care providers in the study said they became family child care providers as a response to the needs that they saw in their neighborhood or in their broader community. And so they know where their community is and they can be responsive to those needs. They can offer flexible and individualized care. Like I said, they're able to stay open overnight or on weekends in a way that other childcare types are not able to. And they also oftentimes step in and fill the gap in ways that, again, other center types can't, offering transportation by themselves, even sometimes. And again, offering non-traditional hour care and again, responding to developmental needs. So that's really what came out a lot is that because they're operating so close to their community and oftentimes operating within their own neighborhood, they're able to really meet families where they are. Sierra, what comes to mind for you about being able to really drive relationship as the center of your FCC model?
I'm gonna start off with saying trust. It's always trust within family child care setting. And when you build that trust with the families, they can choose us. Another thing I would like to highlight is that if they are seeking more information for family child care, resources for their children as a whole, whether if they're developmental or not developmental, they can reach out to the National Association of Family Child Care, or they can reach out to me as the Louisiana State Representative at Intelligent Kid Mind. And my link will be dropped into the chat. And also, what comes to mind is we support the children by designing an individualized and personalized curricula to support their needs. And we also, like you stated, we fill the gaps of operating on weekends. We also have the opportunity to work with a lot of partnership with subsidies, government agencies, state and local organizations.
Thank you, Sierra. The third finding from family child care providers is that they desire stronger system-wide support. They expressed how they know that they are not babysitters, despite maybe some perceptions from the broader field or outside of the field, even just from society, that family child care providers are just babysitters. They're way more than that. And they want to be engaged in the broader ECE system in Louisiana, not only to elevate their work, but as a way to be connected to even more resources to make sure that they're meeting the needs that they're trying to do for their children. There were conversations about wanting bilingual materials, wanting extra materials to help support, occupational therapy growth or supporting better learning outside and nature exploration. And so family child care providers know what's needed to get children where they need to be kindergarten ready, and they want to be connected to the broader system in order to get the resources to do that. However, they are a family child care provider where they are often not only the teacher, but they are the administrator, the bookkeeper, the director, the operations, the facilities managers, they are the grant managers, they are everything.
Yes,
And they
we
have
are.
to do it all at one time. And Sierra, I see you like nodding here. Speak a little bit more to that for us.
Yes, we are. We are actually a business. We also operate legally. We follow all the guidelines of the Louisiana Department of Education. We also have a registered license with the Louisiana Department of Education. Um, we have been conducted with a fire marshal coming through the home, so our homes are safe for families as well. For as the business side, we do have a legal federal EIN number along with an LLC as well. And so with individuals need to understand this is a business and we have the proper certifications, and we also receive support and trainings through our state in Louisiana to support families and children.
That's exactly right. Well, more to come about family child care provider experiences. We're going to take a few moments to look into what our parents said about their experiencing and utilizing family child care. Parents said that their family child care provider really provides the personalized support that they want, that they desire. And so we do see an affirmation on either side that providers feel like they're able to provide a unique service and meeting families where they are, and families feel the same way. Beyond hours and availability, as I spoke to earlier in this session, families choose family childcare specifically because of smaller group sizes. They're taking care of 6 or fewer children, which lends to what they feel is better individualized attention and a more trusting relationship structure that they believe is stronger in a family childcare setting versus other childcare settings. And in a statewide poll from the Louisiana Policy Institute for Children about from parents is that they said, you can see on the slide, that parents using family child care were more likely to utilize family child care specifically because of hours and availability and the happiness of their child. So they are picking family child care more for those reasons than all other respondents who use all different forms of child care, which is important to point out. The next thing before I hand it over to you, Sierra, for a second, is that
Okay.
parents also say that they want to be engaged in their child's learning, that they know it's important. They know their children are learning with their family child care provider, and they desire a stronger connection to continue that learning at home. So parent engagement as a part of this discussion for future policy work needs to be considered because parents want to engage with their child's learning and they just don't always know how. Sierra, between those two slides, what comes up for you?
What comes up for me as a family child care provider, we have we only our ratio is only 6 children, and we have the opportunity to develop educational material and continue providing resources to support the child and to tailor a learning experience, individualized learning styles to help address students' weaknesses. And family child care uses personalized learning styles, structure, methods to address specific needs and set goals for families.
That's exactly right. I appreciate you saying just how like you can even tailor your learning materials for each individual child that you care for.
Yeah,
And in a larger center setting, that's just not something that's always doable just for the scale of it all. And so that is something that is definitely resounding in our study as well. I just wanted to affirm what you shared. Thank you, Sierra.
you're welcome.
Our last parent finding is that even though family childcare is typically more affordable than other childcare types, costs still are top of mind for families. And if you've been a part of any of the Louisiana Policy Institute's research, this is something that comes up a lot. Family childcare, other forms of childcare, all of it, childcare period, is expensive for families. And we know it's typically the largest budget item for a family every month. And while family childcare is able to typically have a better cost structure, um, families are still finding it difficult to pay for. And what we're hearing from providers on the other side is they see that. Again, these are trusted, close relationships that family child care providers have with their enrolled families. And so family child care providers during their sessions talked about how they're having to cover the costs. They're eating the cost of needing to go pick up the child for the parent, or they're eating the cost of, their home insurance went up, but they can't ask parents for more tuition or else they'll have to drop out. And that provider knows that that means that that child then is not getting quality care. And so parents really care about their children being in high quality environments.
Mhm.
And providers feel just as passionate about that. They don't want to see children leaving their program to then be potentially going to a less than quality place, all due to costs. So there's a real tension, not just for parents, but for providers as well with this. Sierra, what's your experience with parents and their ability to afford childcare?
The best solution is sharing the resources and the information to support the parents. After completing a case study and seeking out all of the resources that's out there nationally and within the state of Louisiana. Sharing that information to parents can better assist them as there have many employer subsidies, other subsidies that they may have not been aware of. There's organizational assistance as well within the local, state, and federal agencies to support the parents. And that's where we step in at as family child care providers. We have the resources to provide to the parents so they can receive financial assistance.
Thank you for doing the lift of connecting parents to whatever resources there are out there for them. You were really a great connector of resources, Sierra. So
Yes.
thank you for centering that as part of your work as a provider. We are now going to turn it over to Zakenya to discuss some of the policy recommendations that we think are most reflective of what we heard in the study. And through that, she's going to share a little bit more too about NAFCC's work to help us along the way. I'll hand it over to you, Zakenya.
Yes, thanks, Maddie. And I also want to say again, thank you to Sierra for being a great state representative and providing those resource links. On our website, you will see the national emerging priorities that we have to support the field and family child care educators. But in terms of the policy recommendations, when we talk about establishing family child care provider networks and professional development opportunities, because NEFCC was founded by family child care providers, we know firsthand what that means to have the resources and tools needed for family child care educators to thrive, and survive. Here in Louisiana, we saw in that family child care study that there was a disconnect of family child care educators and providers being networked. At the National Association, we believe in the broader ECE system statewide and nationally that family child care educators need to have a seat at the table and be recognized as a quality early care leader. We must continue to strengthen professional development supports for them. We must also streamline systems to create greater ease of operating and making certain that there are access to resources needed for greater economic mobility. That's really the key, as well as accessing pathways to achieve high quality standards that are unique to family child care micro enterprises. And so I believe with the support from Volunteers of America to have those professional development supports in Louisiana to support family child care educators, we are on the right pathway, but we have so much work to do. We want to make certain that we uplift family child care educators as leaders and partners. And so we have Sierra as a state representative who has joined us and is a part of Leaders Shaping Leaders. And that is the program, it does exactly what it says. Leaders shape leaders through those peer mentoring networks and sharing information with each other and really just kind of seeing how they can best advocate for themselves and the field. Expanding the financial supports for family child care providers and participating families. We know too often that parents often struggle to afford child care, and family child care providers are stepping in to fulfill those gaps because it's not only a profession, it is a passion and purpose of family child care educators to serve families and serve their communities. So they fulfill a need. Again, economic mobility is critical for family child care educators. And this is in alignment with our nationwide policy priorities at the National Association for Family Child Care. We want to see more investments in family child care, more statewide infrastructure and support, investing in state and federal streams that strengthen family child care infrastructure, business sustainability, and workforce development. And lastly, we want to expand the policies here and the resources that make childcare more affordable for parents, and there's more access. And we know that parents do rely on family childcare educators in communities to care for their children. And so the investment in those CCAP programs, the investment in the CCBDG fund, those are the things that we need to be advocating for statewide to support the field and family child care educators again. And it's all about that seat at the table, right? Advocating and making certain that we actively engage and include family child care educators in the decision-making process. They are our partners. They are a vital part of the ECE space. When we experienced COVID-19 and all of the child care centers were closed, it was the family child care educators that remained open to be able to support the economic workforce. And so we believe that family child care educators should be integrated into the early childhood education landscape. It's just critical that family child care providers are recognized as essential and a viable part of the state's broader child care and education landscape. They should be respected as early care leaders. It is our hope and work at NEFCC and statewide as we continue to formulate our group with the Louisiana Leadership and Leaders cohort that we create a unified system that can adopt a national credentialing family child care quality standard that can support family child care educators getting increased in subsidies, increases in professional development, and be respected and recognized as a family child care leader in the ECE landscape. And so we do at NEFCC have state representatives and affiliates that support family child care across the nation. As I stated earlier, Sierra is one of 46 state representatives who advocate on behalf of family child care educators. And at NEFCC, we work with 16 affiliates across the nation, and that number is growing. We're home to 4,500 members, and it is all about having family child care educators involved in a participatory process and shaping what that advocacy agenda looks like, so then that they understand exactly what's out there. They can voice their challenges. We know at the national level that fair compensation is critical for family child care educators, and even retirement benefits. And so there's so much work that we have to do, and we have to have family child care educators at the table in this family child care study to create a North Star to be able to guide us to better support.
That's exactly right. I'll say amen to that if I can. Thank you, Zakenia, for talking through what we feel are the next actions really to come out of this research. I think a big thing too is that we don't want this just to be something that we're like, okay, this is what we heard and here's what we think should happen, and we'll move on to the next thing. This is really such a important to have a lack of vocabulary here, an important part of our early childhood system, and to know that there are thousands of family child care providers who are just disconnected. We know that they connect to each other locally,
Sure.
but to have a broader system of support, not as a way to come in and say like, you got to do this or that. It's really to say like, you are doing wonderful things for children and for families, and here's how we can better bolster your work and support you.
Absolutely.
And so this study, these recommendations don't really end in just a webinar. It really is hopefully a momentum for more work forward. And this is not to say either, before we get to the Q&A, childcare types of all types in Louisiana really do critical work, and they all are learning environments. I think there's just a nature of family childcare providers are often unseen and unknown, and we want to lift their voices through this work so that they can be recognized to the same level of our other childcare provider types. And so all childcare providers are important, and certainly our high quality ones are doing really great work in ensuring our children are ready for kindergarten. But family childcare providers are doing that too. And that's hopefully what's coming out of the study for all of you participating. To transition us a little bit into a Q&A, I see some questions in the chat already, so I'm gonna get onto those. We have about 5 minutes left, so I'm gonna have to be judicious here with which ones we pick. But I would love to hear this one. What do you think, out of all of these things, what do you think is the most important thing for policymakers and legislators to know about family childcare? And we'll hand it over to Sierra first.
What I believe policymakers and legislators should know is that as a family childcare provider, we are a business. We have the proper credentials to sit at the table and update the policies and the minor changes to support resources for families and communities in each parish in the state of Louisiana. I believe that if they do another review to Bulletin 139 and 137 to include family childcare in more of funding that actually childcare receive, then we'll be able to, that will be the starting point to supporting families across the state.
So Kenya, what comes in?
I recently did a home-based global convening at our national conference, and I am leaning into one of the things that came out of that global convening. And I'm hoping, as a New Orleans resident, as a Louisiana native, that we can meet the moment and having an economic recognition and acknowledgement that family childcare is a critical driver of Louisiana's economy in both supporting the workforce and participation in child development, right? And so, what would that look like for us to have greater investments in elevating family childcare as high quality and as a trusted option for families, which is equal in value to center-based care and other education settings? What would that look like for us to be in alignment with other states like North Carolina, where there's an integration of the family child care accreditation credential in their system, where family child care educators receive up to 20% in subsidies for being credentialed? How can we continue to strengthen that? And I know that LDOE has made significant strides here, but so much more work to do when we talk about having it, at the policy level, and family child care being on that line and integrating into the system. And then the infrastructure and support that's needed. Family child care educators are partners, and they need to be at the table when we make decisions about early care. And, that just strengthens our workforce development. It supports them as small business owners, as owning micro enterprises. And so I think just taking a deeper dive into this family child care study and really seeing how family child care educators are supporting children in their communities and providing a vital resource as what was stated in the family child care study. So we want to be able to, advocate for increased funding to support resources for the families and the educators and uplift the field.
That is a great way to end. But so I almost am like, that's it, we're done. But with our last like few seconds here, Sierra, is there anything, I know we're at time now, but is there anything else that you would like to say that you feel like you weren't able to so far in this session?
Yes, I feel like I agree with what Mr. Kenya said. She kind of answered most of my last question, but to add to that, I would like families and parents to know, including legislation, it's very important to make those updates and changes just to hear our voices with the NAFCC, along with the Policy Institute for Children as well. And this study is very important that this study be recognized and be listened to because we have the proper credentials to operate. We have all of the information to support families uh, within our care. We also receive other subsidies and outside resources to support their children as well. So that will be a plus on our side. Um, let's see here. Just don't want to end things. And last, I would say I would like legislation to look at all 46 states in the United States, hard copy license certification and how they operate within the family child care sector. And I believe that they should implement that into Louisiana, as Louisiana is the only state that's not receiving the proper funding for family child care, nor the ratio of receiving the amount of care for children.
A lot of things to learn and a lot of things to do to move forward. I thank everyone for joining the call and staying with us just a few minutes late. You can snag this information off the slide, maybe with a picture off your phone. You're welcome to get in contact with Zakenya at NAFCC. I've also linked Sierra's Instagram handle in the chat. But that concludes our session. I'm going to hand it back over to Corey for some housekeeping things before we close out the day.
Wow, what a great session. And thank you all for joining us. And a special thank you to Maddie, Sierra, and Zakinya for sharing your expertise. When this session ends, the Zoom app will close out, and you'll be brought back to the event lobby. Please take a moment to complete the survey about the session. You'll see a pop-up in the top right corner of your screen. And finally, please join us for final thoughts and next steps in our closing session. Thanks again, and we hope you have a fantastic day.